All right, we're going to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. I'm here, Thomas is here, Marty's here, Meg's here, Barb's here, Ricky's here, and Jim will be absent this evening. Is there anything for public comment this evening? Seeing nothing for public comment, we will move right on. A couple of things, fairly quickly. I'm very pleased to announce that we are going to have the grand opening of what we believe to be the first in Clinton County Storybook Trail at Katyville. It is 17 different stations where we take a page or a couple pages to feature the journey into reading of a book. Susan Moore, in her daughter's book, Pepper, the pooch that we actually had here, I think it was last year. They published a book, and she was gracious enough to be willing to have that book displayed. And we're going to do a grand opening on Sunday at 4 p.m. up at Katyville Park. Strongly encourage you to encourage friends and family and folks of the community to come and to come up yourselves. Mel and I actually went and installed the panels today. And as we were going around, we were even thinking of doing some additional things where we put little stickers or little cards in it where it says, you go to the first station, do a jumping jack. So again, it's reading, it's exercise, or maybe there's a book that only has 10 pages in it because it's a children's book, and some of those stations we encourage people to do like a run in place for 1 minute. So I think you'll see this kind of
that's already in.
We didn't add the physical activities to it right now. Just going on the trail itself, is the physical part of it. But I think there's a lot of ways that we can add some additional play and physical activities in it. And
I saw Mel making it.
yeah. And we already have one other gentleman that's reached out and asked if he might be able to display his book. So we're going to be playing with this, and thanks Meg and others for getting behind it. I think it's a pretty good, neat thing.
So you can use some of those other ideas that they have at the Wild Center too for the
Absolutely.
walk through there.
Yeah. So
Well, you have to walk across balance and stuff like that.
more to come. This is a general community invitation. I certainly will be going on September 1st at 6 p.m. They will be holding the second community, capital unity in the community event night at Hawkins Pond, held by SUNY Plattsburgh. The idea is to bring people together, welcome back students, but also just to bring people in the greater community together, not just the city, but people all around. And it's a beautiful pond, a nice event, and then they do a thing at the end of the evening where they put floating candles on the pond. So it's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah.
So that's September 1st, 6 p.m. I encourage you folks to...
You said September 1st?
September 1st.
Yeah, it's on a Friday morning.
Could I just go back and ask where the 17 stations are? Is that on the regular trail? You go down to the end of the
Yep,
ball field?
down to the end, and it's kind of the trail around the perimeter.
Okay.
It doesn't cross the disc golf, so you're not like reading a book,
that's what I was wondering.
dodging disc golf,
Okay.
things like that.
He hasn't been over there lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a lot of
To
good
see
walks
those
and
sign
runs.
things that are, they've been there for months.
The other thing is, if you're going out over the next day or two, there's actually plastic over some of them. The story's there. We're waiting over the next day or two to pull back the plastic in preparation for the event. So,
Makes
That's
sense.
the thing that can take the kids on.
There you go. Yeah.
Battle of Plattsburgh. A lot of times people think of the Battle of Plattsburgh as a city event, and it really is a regional event. They have activities going on in Beekmantown, etc. We have one Halsey's Corner that we will do. It's going to be an abbreviated event this year with Dick having had some surgery. And then Crab Island, I think the American Legion does an activity. You have to get out there yourself, so I mean it's limited as far as the activity or participating. But there's a lengthy list of activities. Encourage people to purchase a button to support the overall activities. But I'm going to be participating again in the Riverside Cemetery event, which starts at 5 o'clock on September 7th, which is the same day as Halsey's Corner. Halsey's Corner is around noon. So I will go to that event, and then I will drive responsibly back to Town Hall. So
Did you
Meg-
say, was it 5?
Yes, so I will drive responsibly back here, but Meg will most likely begin chairing the meeting for that meeting on the 7th. What leads me to combine string these things all together is at 7:05 that evening, we'll have the public hearing for the rezoning. Part of it is put it back a little bit further so that residents of not of Karen Place, but of Melody and et cetera, I know they've had a great interest. I really wanted to ensure that if they were gonna come out and they wanted to comment, and I already spoke to one individual that is anticipating on being here, by putting that a little bit later, I think it just ensures that they have an opportunity for public comments. 7:05 is when approximately 7:05 is when the public hearing part of it will be. The meeting itself will still be at 6.
At 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I just because I'm coming back, Meg will be chairing the first part of it, I may get here close to 6, but that way it just, it gives a little cushion where appropriate, so, okay? Any questions?
Yeah, it's probably gonna have a huge agenda.
Well, you just have to ask a lot of questions, John. Draw it out.
Yeah, I mean, the meetings are usually done by 7:06.
I'll set a
6:06,
maximum
yeah.
number though for,
Yeah, so,
And
okay.
with Meg here, she'll just zip right through it in a hurry.
She probably will.
we'll slow her down.
Well, we don't have a meeting next week.
No, we don't,
So
One
this is
word a
the next
minute,
meeting?
Meg.
Do we really have that
Yeah.
reputation?
No.
Or 7?
yeah.
Just like, don't rush me, Meg.
Oh, yeah, we
She
will.
just gets down to business, that's all.
Well,
That's
and,
okay.
and that's the other part to it, we don't have a meeting next week, so I also anticipated that there could be other items that come up, I don't know, but sometimes that happens when we have that 5th week.
Yep.
So, just trying to fill in a little bit, okay? In talking with Jim, he felt as though that this item could remain as a tabled item because this is a work session. So I'm going to keep this item tabled as we're still working on some items on it anyways. So, needs to be posted, so on and so forth, okay? I would like to bring for consideration this evening, though, a request to advertise sealed bids for the base home man rehabilitation, 17205.
Whereas the Water and Wastewater Department base sewer district is in need of a manhole rehabilitation and installation. Whereas the plans and specifications have been prepared by the Birds Engineering Consulting Group entitled Base Manhole Rehabilitation 2017. Whereas Scott Stoddard, Water and Wastewater Director, has requested to solicit bids for material and labor to complete the lining. And therefore be resolved, the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise for sealed bids for the project entitled Base Manhole Rehabilitation 2017, for which bid specifications, non-conclusion documents will be available at the town clerk's office, and said advertisement shall be placed in the Press Republican with bids to be opened September 15th at 3 p.m. at the town of Plattsburgh Town Hall on 151 Baker Road, Plattsburgh, New York. And be further resolved that the town of Plattsburgh Town Board reserves the right to reject any and all bids offered. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the town clerk and the director of Water and Wastewater Department, and also the finance manager.
Is there a motion? All in favor? Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going to go with Hebert. Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Mark Mannix? Yes. Michael Fay?
Yes.
Barb Weaver?
Yes.
And Mike Hack.
Yes, this resolution does carry. Right, going into Resolution 17206, New York Power Authority request for work hour change.
Whereas New York Power Authority has held a public hearing for work to be done in Cumberland Head area for the purpose of drilling cables into Lake Champlain. Whereas the current work has been from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and is requesting an hour change from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. for this phase of construction. Whereas to meet state environmental permit requirements, a time frame after Labor Day must need to be changed to 24/7 to complete the cable installation. Therefore be resolved that New York State Power Authority does have the permission to expand the hours to finish the work being done and meet state requirements. And is to be further resolved that a copy of this resolution and attachments be given to the town clerk to post on the bulletin board.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for the purposes of discussion.
Okay. Mannix, is there a second?
Second.
LaFave, discussion. Would you allow just me to give a little bit more context
Yep.
first? So an individual reached out to my office asking if this was, if there was an opportunity to extend this. I immediately called Jim as counsel and said, you know, what is a way in which we would engage through this process? I have very mixed feelings about it personally, and he said, well, as long as we do a resolution, the board should be able to act on an individual basis, is how he basically described it verbally when we talked on the phone. He said, put a resolution together, and then we could vote on it, and so on and so forth. In speaking with, and I do apologize, the individual's name escapes me at the moment. I did inform him that we were having a meeting tonight. There was a resolution, and that we would consider it, and that we would not be meeting next week. He said if he had the opportunity to send a delegate of sorts, that he would do that this evening, but he was not sure if that would happen. So just kind of giving you all the context of the situation that I know.
When did you get the request for this?
I want to say it was Friday or Monday.
Oh, okay.
I think that's when it was, so.
And before we go into any discussion, I just want to help Ricky out, because it's the third whereas, it was may need to change as opposed to must need to change. Rick had said that.
Oh, they need to change it to
Yeah,
24/7.
yeah, just to help you out, Rick, yeah, instead of saying must,
Yep.
that's what it.
What has been our board's involvement in any part of this project prior to this point? Right.
Yeah, if we had a delegate here tonight, that would have been helpful, but yeah, I agree with Meg, and no more if you have anything else, it's.
Yeah, well, my concern is
Missing information.
multiple. Number one, I question how much residents in the area would have had any knowledge of a public hearing being held. I know in my own case, I certainly had no knowledge of that. I have no knowledge of the impact this would have on residents. I don't know the process. I don't know how much noise is involved.
Do you see them out there? or
Well,
hear them?
oh yeah, they're out there, and they're out there on both sides every day. So,
Yeah.
you know, I go back and forth to Burlington. When you're on the ferry, well, the ferry makes a lot of noise, you don't really hear anything, and it doesn't look like they're working. So I'm not saying they aren't working, but whatever they're doing, the most that you see is on the McDonough Highway, because they stage from that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, just by Janie's, by the cornfields, you know,
I know
those
what
side-
you mean.
yeah, that's where they stage, and that's where most of the traffic and stuff is happening, and there's noise there. I mean, if I were living nearby, I mean, there's some houses right there, and they're making noise all night long, I don't think I'd be real pleased.
My concern is I have no basis on which to make this decision.
Right.
I don't know what it is I'm being asked to consider. And, you know, what the impact of this is on the residents. And so I don't want to make that decision until I have more information. And so I'm asking for someone to provide that information before I'm willing. So what I'm inclined to do is to approve the request from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., but to not approve a request to go 24/7.
That's a lot of noise.
And I guess I understand that, Marty. You feel it's a reasonable request without having all that, you don't have sufficient information to, you feel that there's enough information you have to extend the hours to 11 p.m. from 7 p.m.? Because I know where this
What
project
are they
is,
working
but
right now? 7 to 7, 7 to 3,
7 to
7 to 7?
So my, two things I want
Yeah,
to just bring to
7.
everyone's attention,
Mhm.
just so names on the record. A. Sean Doyle is the regional administrator for real estate, is the individual that
For
communicated.
what organization?
For New York State Power Authority, and is out of Messina. You know, my concern with that, Marty, and this is where I had the mixed feelings, is, you know, I don't want to, if 24 hours is too much, then 11 PM is too
Mhm.
much to me. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
people work different shifts, people have kids, so on and so forth. I had a concern with the resolution to begin with about as far as process and procedure. I would like to take a much more conservative approach, but I didn't know what the board's done in the past, that's why I brought it for a discussion. I'd like us to either not entertain it as a resolution at all, you know, not even table it, you know, because it's a work session, just don't entertain it. And then I can reach out to this individual and ask him to either send a representative and/or, if need be, I mean, I could hook up a phone if that needs to be the case, where we could engage in a conversation with him, and potentially notice the public in Cumberland Head. I think, you know, that's the fair, and, you know, the fair thing to do to the residents. You know, we have
Yeah.
kind of a noise ordinance.
I mean, how do I look anybody in the face and then say, well, you know, did you ask this question?
Mhm.
Did you get this information? And he said, no. I mean, you sound like a moron.
When did the New York Power Authority hold a public hearing for it to be done on Cumberland?
Huh.
Do you know?
I didn't
It
get
would have
anything.
been,
Last year.
Was it?
I don't,
That was at
I
the
don't.
beginning.
They had it here,
I
apparently.
had it here.
but they did, but they didn't, I mean, they didn't bring up this stuff
No,
for
they
public
didn't.
hearing. This is all new.
But I don't want to, I'm not looking to defend, but keep in mind, because we've had these types of situations in the past where, depending on how close you are to X, I mean, we hear this from folks in planning and zoning and stuff, well, I never got a letter. Well, it might have been because it had to be within 500, you know, feet of something, and some of those things, so.
But I don't understand why they're coming to us now for permission to do this.
yeah, and again, part of the basis is, for me, is, you know, is it a project deadline, are they behind schedule, or, you know?
But I don't get, this is similar to the person walking in and handing you the letter at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon
Sure.
and saying, you need to sign this,
You need to
we
sign-
have to have this right now. You know, no. You know, I don't need to sign anything.
So Cashman, what I would like to know is all of the information that you just laid out
Yeah.
first, and so that we can have proper answers for constituents, but also why our involvement at this point? And why have we not been consulted before?
Well, because, my understanding is because they've fallen within the scope of what is allowed to this point. They're doing work within the hours of operation.
Okay.
You know, now it's, the difference is, you know, the noise ordinance,
I see.
that's what they're going beyond.
Oh, okay.
So they're looking to engage beyond that process.
So we
So
want-
my question, I guess, to the board is it sufficient to have a representative and/or a letter that documents, and you can email me questions, so I can compile them and get them to them, and/or potentially use technology to, you know, allow them to call in, you know, and answer questions?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Does that
Give
kind
us
of?
information.
Yeah.
So I don't feel comfortable.
I'd like to know, when was the public hearing, and was this actually discussed, these hours, all night, 7 to 11? Secondly, what's the impact, you know, on the residents? Third, what environmental permit requirements do they have to meet that cause this to be, has to be a 24-hour thing? They don't say anything about what environmental, and why would they have to have environmental, they've got permission to do the job, why would they then need environmental permit requirements? They should have had that when they started the job. It says, whereas to meet the state environmental permit requirements,
Okay.
the timeframe has to change. Well, state environmental permit requirements, why would they change? I don't understand that at all.
I don't either.
I really don't, and I'd like to know why that is.
Okay. So, my
I appreciate you bringing this to us. You could
Yeah.
have just said yes to this, yes?
They wanted me to sign a letter and I said no.
Um,
Well, it's not you, so yeah.
They say here, resolve that a copy of this resolution and attachments.
Yeah.
Have we got attachments?
The email, and I just.
That's the attachment.
Yeah, I mean, literally
Okay,
was the
okay.
request.
No.
So Deborah, to clarify, Deborah gleans from the request and prepares the resolutions as such.
Okay.
So in general, the request was the ask for,
Mhm.
that's where I came up with his name.
Okay.
And that's why I was trying to find it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there were some
Other support
attachments that had.
documents.
No, there isn't like a formal permit or, something like that, so.
Even the email doesn't answer these questions.
And that's why I'm trying to see if I can pull. I mean, my communication to him was, good day, Sean. We have a meeting on Thursday at 6 PM. Jim Coffey, our town lawyer, has advised me that we must pass a resolution. I can alert you of the vote on Friday, should we take, something to the effect if we take action. You are welcome to attend or have someone attend. So again, that was extended as an opportunity.
And he as much as said,
Thank you.
maybe somebody would, but.
And then he said, thank you for the update, Michael. I will get back to you if myself or someone else from New York State Power Authority will attend Thursday's meeting. And I didn't hear from him. So, again, I don't think we should be in a position to,
I'll move to table this.
He doesn't want to take.
my preference would be just to let it
Go.
go.
Not
But it's already
entertained.
been moved and seconded.
Not if everybody doesn't vote.
Doesn't vote,
Oh, okay.
right?
So-
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with
Yeah.
it.
So, if everybody abstains, can I have a roll call?
Thomas Wood? Mark Mannix?
I'm not here, I'm not abstaining from this.
Mike LeFave? Barb Hebert? And Mike Cashner.
All right, so
Nothing.
nothing to an endorsement, so I will get you some more information.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. While I'll just say it for the record, while I do not anticipate any findings of this that will probably emerge over the next week, but should something really determine that we need to, I may say we do need to meet next week, but to me, it's very unlikely. But I'll leave that on the table, so, okay? 6,
So
2.
we're doing 207?
Yeah, okay. Water storage maintenance change order number 1.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh Water and Wastewater Department went out to bid and awarded the water storage tank assessment management and maintenance program, resolution 17-132. And whereas the Cateyville system requires pressure to be maintained while the tank is isolated for interior and exterior maintenance. And whereas it is determined that 2 10,000-gallon pneumatic tanks would be required. Be it resolved, the town board is hereby authorized change order number 1 in an amount not to exceed $104,860.00. And to be further resolved, the supervisor be authorized to execute said change order to extend contract pricing. And to be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and water and wastewater director.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
LaFave, is there a second?
Second.
Mannix, any discussion?
But, is it the 2 tanks that we're talking about, for the change order?
There are 2 tanks, 2 10,000-gallon tanks that will be purchased to
Rented.
affect this.
Rented.
Rented, excuse me, thank
Okay.
you. That will be rented, that will affect this. They will maintain the pressure that has to be maintained while the other tank is being,
But that wasn't part of the original
refurbished.
bid?
There's a process of trying to break it down from a month cycle and then
To a
some,
weekly cycle.
to some weekly cycles to be as cost effective as possible to it. So the Cateyville Tower, I think Scott would endorse the statement that is probably the hardest one to kind of get our arms around it, you know, because of the space, you know, and so on and so forth, so.
It's $25,000 a month per tank to rent them,
Oh.
and it's $27.50 per week per tank to rent them. So they're trying to move it along
Is it less costly to
faster.
purchase one?
No,
No.
they're
No,
temporary
they're
tanks.
temporary.
Renting them.
So we're trying to break it down so that they can get the work done in less time and rent them
Yeah.
by a weekly basis rather than.
When I originally talked about it, we were talking about buying second hand.
We are in other areas, but not in
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none? Okay, roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Mark Bennett?
Yes.
Mike LePage?
Yes.
Barb Healy?
Yes.
And Cash.
Yes, resolution carries, thank you. All right. Just give me 1 second. Just wanna keep this organized. In your packet, you will also find draft minutes. It is hard to believe that I can't believe that we're looking at some of these other draft items already. The request for salt purchase for
Yes.
the highway department, a request for a 3% construction deposit for Champlain Spine and Pain Management, appointment of Kenneth Crownshield as an MEO2 in the highway department, proposal of shared services for low-income water and sewer districts. Keep in mind, this one, we are looking to do a couple of things with. One is a income survey is very helpful when going after a number of grants. It's actually required in some cases. But what I have challenged and supported in a model of finding ways that we can try to reduce those costs by taking on portions of that income survey in-house, rather than having somebody outside do all the mailings and so on and so forth. You basically want to have somebody off-site doing your calculations for you because of the sensitivity of the materials. So, but you can take on the portion where you're collating the letters, you're stuffing them, you're mailing them, and so on and so forth. So that's a large part of what we would take on to keep the costs lower, okay? So just,
And this is a third of one of the proposals, which was $30,000.
yeah.
Really, that much?
So that's why I've been really trying to poke at a number of things to try to be as cost effective as possible. And I'm
That sounds very good.
and I'm fairly confident that we can use staff here to conduct some of that stuff. So just an FYI. Advertise for the budget. I don't really like workshop. It would be the work session.
Right?
And it's for 2018, okay? We've already kind of tentatively talked about it. I wanted to give department heads a tentative date just to kind of get their arms wrapped around it so that they could make changes. The plan is to go to a Saturday session again, so that we can get everybody in. In years past, not all the council members have all been able to attend every single budget session. So by having one day, I will try to fine tune the schedule a little bit. I'm going to allow, again, I think it was a starting time of approximately 8 o'clock until when we're done. I would encourage you to bring your own lunches that day. Yeah, I'm that cheap. Bring a donut, maybe I'll bring you coffee on my own dime. But the idea is that we're gonna try to go through, and if we get done beforehand, we'll close out the session. And then Patrick and I can try to wrestle with the numbers. That was really helpful rather than doing it in little pockets, because you could see it in conjunction with stuff. And even as I think Debbie had said last year, it was nice to kind of get it done rather than extending it over, 3 o'clock here, 4 there, 1 to 2 here, so.
Well, you said this was a tentative date, but if we pass this, it's...
If we pass it, it will not be tentative, so it's October
Okay, so this is the date.
14th.
It's put on the schedule,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think on both sides, our side and I can't speak for department heads, but I think mutually it was beneficial. And then-
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was fairly successful. I just remind people, we're gonna go at it at a fairly decent clip. We're not gonna sit around like we sometimes do at our meetings where we get off of the weeds and wanna stay on task and on time. So, all
All
right.
right, getting too many weeds? Oh, dear.
All right, is there any other items before us? Seeing none, 6:30.
Well, we're supposed to have one executive.
No executive session tonight. I did share that I had anticipated that us having an executive session this evening that would be lengthy. We will be having one in the near future to continue to talk about the Saranac Power.
Authority.
So, but I'm waiting to get some stuff organized with Melissa McManus. Okay, that's it.